Just last weekend at Lanier Speedway, a classic bullring brawl broke out. And when the tempers cooled and the dust settled, Mike Garvey had taken a dominant victory ahead of Mike Cope and Casey Smith. But now Garvey and the gang will be turning in much bigger and faster circles on the Kentucky Speedway. A high-speed tightrope that definitely has the driver's attention.
The high speeds, the big banks, getting in the draft, running door to door and separating the men from the boys.
Definitely the drafting. Those young kids haven't seen anything yet.
I think you're going to see an exciting race because for a lot of us it's going to be a whole new ball game, and we're kind of used to knocking fenders around, so I don't know if that's going to be able to happen there or not.
It's going to separate the men from the boys. When you go in there, you're going fast. I mean, it's whenever you're going to wreck there, you're going to wreck big. It's going to be exciting.
Just the speed, man. It's just all-out speed. It's who's can go the fastest. Now, it's not riding around. It's not a little bump and bang short tracks. It's time to go fast.
I love the big tracks. You know, going back to Kentucky, I've got a pole there in different series and looking to get another pole and win the race.
125 laps of super speedway excitement, and it's all coming to you next right here live on Speed. For the first time in almost 3 years, the American Speed Association's National Tour returns to a track whose length is longer than 1.5 miles. Hi everybody, great to have you here for the third round of the ASA National Tour, the BF Goodrich 125 here in Sparta, Kentucky. We are at Kentucky Speedway, about a half-hour south of the Cincinnati metro area. It's a beautiful facility, relatively new, 1.5 miles in a tri-oval format, 14-degree banking, and the track record set today. Now, going to the speedways requires a bit of change in the cars. For more on that, let's meet the first of our two pit reporters, Rob Albright.
That's right, Greg. You know, one of the hallmarks of ASA racing has been cost containment. Well, this car, the machine of Chris Stump, just epitomizes cost containment. This car actually raced last weekend at Lanier, 3/8 of a mile. Comes to the super speedway at Kentucky. Some of the changes up front you really can't see. Additional bracing in the nose of the car. Tethers on the hood to make sure that that hood stays on in case an incident happens to Chris's car. Moving to the center of the car up on the roof, these roof rails, which are optional on the short tracks, become mandatory here at Kentucky on all of the super speedways. Now to the rear of the car, the spoiler. It's 5 inches tall on a short track. It grows 2 inches to 7 on the super speedways. Well, I focused on the car. Focusing on a driver up front is Ken Stout.
It'll go down in the history books that the first ASA race at Kentucky Speedway has a 19-year-old in just his second ASA start. Jay Middleton sitting on the pole. Jay, talk to me about that lap.
It was just a great lap. You know, we were practicing real well. We got our best lap happened to be in qualifying, which that's what's supposed to happen. So I didn't think it could happen, but hey, we're up here on the front of the field. Hopefully we can finish up here.
Well, he has been on the pole before, but it was at a late model race, a super late model race, at a track that Mike Cope owns called Bronson Motor Speedway, and he won 3 weeks ago. Now for the most famous words in motorsports.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the words that you have been waiting for all winter long, and here we go. Jackie Pauley from H.H. Grave, give us the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us at this absolutely state-of-the-art facility. You've met our two pit reporters. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by Jim Trado, as always. And Jim, one of the interesting stats, kind of a quirky one, about this third race of the season is that you combine the length of the two tracks we raced on previously, doesn't even total up to what we're running here.
1.5-mile racetrack, a beautiful facility here in Kentucky, built in 1999. Looking at the length, add the math. Tonight, 1.5 miles, 125 laps around this beautiful facility. A lot of question marks, a lot of new guys to ASA since they were on super speedways. A lot of neat things, neat avenues for these drivers to figure out. The pit window, the 4 tire changes, we've got it all for you. These guys are excited. We're excited to bring it to you tonight.
And the speeds were relatively interesting there. They are way up, and they ran here in qualifying faster than they practiced. This is going to be very interesting.
170 miles an hour average speed in qualifying. It'll fall off just a little bit during the race, so this is the most speed these teams have had in ASA in 3 years.
Take a look there. You can see a lot of purse money on the line here as well. Now, this is a new facility. Strategy is going to come into play. We talked to some of the drivers about what they expect tonight.
Well, I think the draft's going to be real important. Some of us older guys might have to team up, but get by some of these kids, but it's going to be real important.
Unfortunately, we dropped a motor in practice, so we're going to be starting at the back. You know, I don't know whether I should draft with the kids or the veterans. Doesn't matter. If I can find somebody to draft with, I'm drafting with them. Kid or veteran, I'm going to the front.
Hopefully we stay up front all night and stay out of trouble. Seeing how the guys have been racing the last couple of races, I think they'll probably be the big one, and hopefully we stay up front all night and out of trouble.
All right, we're just about ready to see the field roll off here for the BF Goodrich Tires 125. When we come back, we will bring you the starting lineup. We've got some great onboard shots to show you, and then we've got 125 laps of ASA Super Speedway racing for the first time in 3 years. Speed Channel's live coverage of the ASA Racing Series BF Goodrich Tires 125 is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires, the official tire of ASA, and by Janet King, the king of clean. Welcome back, everybody. Field now underway on the pace and parade laps. We want to get you right to the starting lineup. It is a big field here, obviously with the 1.5 mile track and the fact that there's a much longer pit lane than we're used to in some of the short tracks. We have the opportunity to field an awful lot of cars, so let's get right to it. Front two rows, Jay Middleton, the rookie, establishing the track record, with Stephen Light qualifying second. He's the point leader. Wade Day and Glenn Allen Jr. Rows 3 and 4 include former champ Brian Reffner, Mike Garvey off of his win a week ago, Chris Stump, and hot rookie Joey Miller. Rows 5 and 6, Robbie Pyle and Jimmy Henderson, another rookie, as is Rich Locke, and Kevin Sawinski, defending series champ. Rows 7 and 8, Ryan Unzicker and Jason Deach, more on him, Todd Cleaver and Jeff Harrison. Rows 9 and 10, a couple of rookies, Scott Lagacy and Brett Sontag, and Jeff Streeter and Toby Porter. Rows 11 and 12, Travis Kittleson second in the points, Casey Smith third, Mike Cope and Greg Stewart. Rows 13 and 14, John Dial, Brent Downey, Tim Sauter, and Jim Ross. Rows 15 and 16, we have Trevor Stewart, Jamie Bolkovac, and Dominic Vara. But for Reed Sorensen, Rob Albright, problems, he's down in pit lane.
And Greg, the problems persist. You can see behind me work going on in the left rear corner of Reed Sorensen's car. There's a very good reason. He was fastest in early practice, but crashed in the second practice session. Had to unload a backup car. It really wasn't ready to go. And what they're actually doing is trimming some of the body work away so that he doesn't experience tire rub. Rough start for Reed Sorensen, but the last time that happened, he parlayed it in a fourth place finish at Lakeland, guys.
He's certainly capable of coming up through the pack. Let's go to rows 17 and 18. Chad Wood, Greg Williams, Gary Sherman, and Matthias Sabach. And then rows 19 and 20, Craig Smith, Ed Brown, Troy Wangren, and Ken Stout. Peter Cozzolino's day hasn't started off well either.
Spoke to him earlier. He said that the car just felt unsettled after the second practice. Well, apparently so, as he went out and crashed it, and now he'll start this race in the back of the field.
And then at the very tail end of the field, as we heard from Butch Miller, hold the engine in a practice session, didn't qualify. He'll be coming up through the back. Let's take a look at our onboard cameras. We will be on board with Butch Miller as he starts dead last, the Timberwolf Chevy number 52. Moving up through the field a little bit to the 16th qualifying spot. The Motor Trend Chevrolet will be on board with 82 Jeff Harrison, the young rookie, and a road racer who's coming around to the ovals. And then up to the 8th qualifying spot. And the Great Clip Chevrolet will be on board with number 15 Joey Miller, Mr. Excitement in ASA. And a little message there for all the moms this weekend. Great to see Joey thinking about that as well. Now, coming to this track, obviously we've talked about some of the changes. One of them is in how we're going to be restarting. Let's go down to Rob Albright.
Well, if you've been with us for the first couple of races of the season, you know that ASA instituted a rule called the choose rule. On restarts, it enabled each driver an opportunity to determine whether he'd start on the inside or the outside. Well, with all the caution flags a week ago at Lanier, probably not the fault of the rule, but it certainly has impacted psychologically the drivers. So tonight we'll return to the traditional method of restarting an ASA race after a caution, single file restarts. Ken?
Once again, BF Goodrich has come out with a great tire after testing here. They made a couple of changes so that these tires won't create quite so much heat, and that way they won't have a chance to blister those tires. Also, they've changed the diameter just a little bit. The tires don't have quite as much stagger in them as they typically would have at a short track, obviously making it easier to drive these things straight. Guys?
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. And by the way, number 32, Troy Wangren, who qualified only 39th, he's been having problems. He, too, has made a stop in pit lane. And Sorensen coming back in as well. So problems continuing for this top rookie contender. And who would have guessed it, Jim, that they were so looking forward to coming to this big track and really showing what they could do.
We see Craig Smith back in ASA for the first time here on the Super Speedways in the number 81 car. He had an adjustment he wanted to make after qualifying. He did not know the procedure of when to declare to do that, so he had to make it under this lap and join the field at the tail. So again, qualifying this afternoon, cars were impounded. This team having to make the change now on these caution laps, and we'll have to start the tail.
187 miles the length of this race, and obviously on this track they're going to be pretty much full throttle a long way around. Fuel could actually play a little bit more of a role than we've seen, and certainly going to the different tires, as Ken talked about, a lot of strategy issues we're going to be trying to follow. Lights are out on the pace car. I can't wait. Get this one underway, see how this is going to unfold.
Super Speedway racing this year. This is the first of 6 events in the ASA National Tour out of the 16-race schedule, so it's very important. A lot of guys are saying whatever happens here will determine how we perform ourselves on the team level for the remainder of the Super Speedway schedule. So there's a lot of things to discover tonight.
A lot of variables indeed, and I'll tell you, one of the guys that impressed me so much at Lanier, it was Travis Kittleson, coming back from the problems he had to still be in the points hunt, and obviously he didn't qualify quite as well as he wanted here. He was so looking forward to this. A lot of stories we're going to be following, and Stephen Light on the pole for most of qualifying until he got pipped by another rookie, Jay Middleton. And speaking of him, coming around, lights out on the pace car, second ever ASA race, he's on the pole on a super speedway. Talk about pressure with the names that you have behind you. Pace car down on pit road. We are about to get underway for our first super speedway race in 3 years, our first race in Kentucky in almost 4. They're rolling up, watching the start stand. We're underway. Middleton driving away, and it looks as though Stephen Light getting freight trained a little bit. He's lost at least one spot already as Wade Day, another rookie. 3 rookies up front. That was remarkable in and of itself.
And the concern was these 3 young guys, how it's going to start on the outset and on the break. Jay Middleton, a very clean job coming up through the field, getting that single file restart on the single file start. These guys are now trying to figure out from 4th on back who wants to be running behind those leaders as they complete lap 1.
Good look there, number 19, Casey Smith, who had such a great run at Lanier. He was the points leader coming in here. After the race, they discovered a technical infraction with the car, cost him 25 points. It dropped him to 3rd in the point standings, but believe me, he is one driver to keep an eye on. There is the number 80, the multicolored blue car. That is Brian Reffner, former champ. Right behind him, the black car of number 17, the winner at Lanier a week ago. Garvey is there battling. We have a car that's going fairly slowly down the backstretch, and we think it might be Kevin Sawinski. We'll keep an eye out on that. Watching what's unfolding up front. It is the white. That is the modern office method Chevrolet. And there is Sawinski. It is our defending race champ, and number 81, you called it, Jim. Craig Smith, problems continuing.
Looks like he has some damage to that car. Again, they tried to get it fixed under that caution to get the tire pressure adjusted. It looks like he's hit the wall, bringing out our first caution, but a huge deal for Kevin Sawinski. Not a great start to the season. Was expected to be among the contenders. Again, a shortened schedule this year from a year ago. Sawinski having problems with that brand new Dodge Intrepid.
The question is right now for Sawinski is he going to be able to even get it down into pit lane? He is at a crawl right now. So we have an early caution, only 2 of 125 in. Middleton leads, but Glenn Allen Jr. on the move early. Welcome back, everybody. Early in the going, defending series champ Kevin Sawinski having problems. He's getting a push actually down into pit lane, and they got him going enough. He is not under his own power at this stage, and he is in some dire straits, and Ken Stout is waiting for him and watching for him to come in, and it looks pretty serious, Ken.
You know, guys, after it's been a rough start for him. Lakeland he spends. He also spends at Lanier. As he rolls in here, I spoke with Mike Chavy for just a moment. They think that the rear end gear, something in the rear end has busted on that car. He barely made it back around. A very tough start here at Kentucky for our champ, guys.
Boy, and that is not going to be an easy fix, obviously. If they can fix it at all, that sounds almost like a transmission rebuild, and that is not going to be an easy thing to pull off. But early in the race, and points on the line, I suppose you just have to go over it. Take a look here as they are quickly underneath that car.
Again, these are short track cars adapted to super speedways, but really they have a lot of short track technology. The quick change rear end has a housing cover that pulls off, and you can get right to the gears very easily. So if that is the case, Sawinski may lose a few laps in the pits. And again, as this race wears on, Sawinski knows how to finish races. He will finish as many laps as possible here. This team, again, voted by their peers as the best team in ASA, will get the job done.
Let's get right back down to Ken. What's happening?
Hey, guys, as he pulls in here, the drive shaft is completely ripped out of the front yoke on the rear end here. It's completely ripped out. You can see the fluid dripping down underneath the car. They're trying to take the cover off the quick change rear end. They'll have a lot of work to do to get this thing back out and going again here this evening. Guys?
Well, if it's simply a drive shaft, that's going to be a heck of a lot easier than trying to make a repair on the entire transmission. I talked earlier about Casey Smith and how quick he is. He also was in some controversy at the end of the race in Lanier, and Ken Stout talked about a grudge that might be developing.
You're looking at the rear of a beat-up Mannheim's Florida Auto Auction sponsored Dodge Intrepid. That rear bumper took a beating 1 weekend ago at Lanier. The driver, Mike Cope, and the man that was wearing that back bumper out was Casey Smith. Talk to me about those last few laps.
Oh, it was a little exciting, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I race people the way that I want to be raced, and if that's the way he wants to be raced, it's not a problem. I grew up racing against Jody Ridley, Butch Miller, my brother Jimmy, and that's how they, we treat each other the way that you're supposed to be treated.
On the other side of this is Casey Smith. We'll ask him if he felt like he raced Mike Cope clean.
I was just trying to get to the front or, get to the lead, but Mike Cope says that I drove some way, and I just drove the way everybody else out there drives, and I didn't drive the way he drove. He put me in the fence on the back straightaway, almost caused a big wreck. That's pretty much the way he's drove his whole racing career. That's all I hear about is Mike Cope, how he wrecked somebody. But you can't keep those grudges going on because you can get somebody hurt bad here at Kentucky. I'm not going to continue this grudge. A real race car driver puts it behind him, and that's what I'm going to do, and click away at these points and just get a good, solid top 10 here.
Well, Casey Smith qualified 22nd, Mike Cope qualified 23rd. Irony can be pretty ironic sometimes. Cope is up to 10th in the early going here. We'll be right back for more of the BF Goodrich Tires 125. And welcome back, everybody. Is he bringing you up a corn dog?
I hope
you
so.
Get an order down there already?
Extra ketchup, please.
All right. Well, one of the things that we want to talk about right away here was Stephen Light, who qualified second, and he has dropped back in a big hurry. He's back to fifth. And problem there for Stephen Light. Let's check in with Rob.
But as you can see, Greg, his crew chief, Howie Leddow, doesn't seem too concerned. Leaned back in his easy chair on top of the pit box. That's because that was entirely by design. The cars that were most recently on the racetrack utilized a completely different, not just compound, but manufacturer of racing rubber. The track surface is about 30 degrees cooler than it was when Stephen qualified, and his crew chief said, get to the bottom as soon as you can. That's what he did. The quickest opening that he had, the fifth spot. Now they'll begin to race. Ken Stout.
Bill McGowan, crew chief of Robbie Pyle. For the second weekend in a row, you guys have gone with a Stephen Light setup. What's going on here? This one cost you. You have to go to the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it looked like it was working for him, and we thought it'd be worth the gamble. After qualifying, we opted to go to the rear of the field, make some changes, and give it a whirl. So
they feel like they've got plenty of room to pass and race here, so they go to the back of the pack and take their chances, guys.
Well, he ducked into the pits very quickly as well, and the report from one of our spotters, actually a special guest here in the booth, a familiar face and voice, Bob Dillner, said that he overheard that they put a three-quarter turn in the car. So they're tweaking it, and why not? If you've already gone to the back and you feel you can make a quick change and make it pay off, do it.
And Robbie Pyle didn't qualify that well in the season opener on the three-quarter mile track at Lakeland. It bit him as they was well back in the field, got caught up in a mess. They went from 9th on the grid to make that change to get that car to handle better. They took a gamble. It may be paying off here as they now have a fresh fuel load in here as well. Just a few laps under caution. They might have a longer pit window than some of these other teams.
Lights are off on the pace car, so we're anticipating going green here. Here's our next group of races coming up. Erie, Pennsylvania will be the next stop. And a couple of interesting tracks. How about Fountain, Colorado? That is Pikes Peak. Absolutely great facility. And, of course, then Madison International and Indianapolis, Indiana. Madison's going to have some serious racing tomorrow night. The ASA Late Model Tour kicks off there. We hear some 70 late models have offered up entries,
including some guy named Ken Seth and Quapple, both track champions there. Now they've won their own championship somewhere else.
They've done some other stuff to fairly great effect, indeed. All right, pace car makes the move down in and bringing them around. Jay Middleton, the North Florida Medical Sales and Pharmacy Chevrolet. He qualified 2 miles an hour faster than the best test speed and the second place qualifier. This kid is hooked up and dialed, and we're green. Staying low, that's Glenn Allen right with him, but look at Refner, swings wide, coming around and picks up the third spot, and now going after the second spot. 53 is Glenn Allen, the white car right there, and Refner right on his right shoulder. On board now with Joey Miller, the number 15 Redline and Great Clips Chevrolet, but it is still Middleton leading. Refner right there, trying to wrest away that second spot. Finally, Glenn Allen says, thank you, no, I'll take that back. And now, look at the move. This is Stephen Light dropping low, trying to get back by Refner. Side by side as they come through the tri-oval once again.
And Ryan Refner's had a pole here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Glenn Allen Jr. is the 1996 Busch Series Rookie of the Year. So as these guys get on these speedways, Stephen Light saying, I'm 17, but I want to race with you. And these veterans are saying, let's settle in, let's settle out. Brian Repper made his chance, made his break on the outset to get around Glenn Allen. Didn't work, but now I think he's playing it pretty safe here with Stephen Light right on his quarter.
Well, it's smart on a new facility when you don't have a lot of experience in race conditions in particular. Be a little conservative if you're already at the front. There's lots of time to go out and race. Here's number 17, Mike Garvey, the black Janiking Chevrolet, closing up on the back of Stephen Light. There is the number 8 giving chase. That is Chris Stump, the McDonald's car, trying to come after Garvey. And right behind him, the number 21, rookie Jimmy Henderson in the mix as well. He has been quick since they rolled off the trailer, both at the test here as well as throughout this day of practice and qualifying.
And Jimmy Henderson said, I don't have a crew chief. My short track debut at Lanier with ASA, we thought we were way out to lunch. I like these super speedways. He has some Busch and ARCA experience, and he said, I raced here well before, but this team, he said, we need a crew chief. We like Gene Robertson, how he's been able to help us to a certain point, but if this team manages to get together with a crew chief and some sponsorship, Jimmy Henderson could be a very serious threat here at the ASA National Tour.
It's a very, very good battle we're watching here for that 5th spot. Meanwhile, here is number 52, Butch Miller, the Timberwolf Chevrolet, trying to come up, work his way by that Red Meyer Chevrolet of Toby Porter. Miller, they are catching some serious traffic. That black and white car is Tim Sauter, and there's smoke. Possible spin right front, indeed.
It's Jimmy Henderson. We just spoke of Jimmy running a very strong run. He was up in the 6th position at the time of this incident, bringing out our 2nd caution.
Looks like he obviously must have got into the outside wall. There's some damage to the back of that car. I thought maybe he collected a sign or something, but now it's actually part of the car itself.
It's the trunk tethered to the car itself, so the trunk lid stayed with the automobile as he spun through. I'm guessing the air forced the trunk lid up from the car.
Let's go down to Rob Albright.
You know, guys, here's an irony on Jimmy Henderson. He called the ASA offices, from what I understand, this week, and basically asked them to talk him into coming. He was literally ready to pull out of this year's rookie battle after missing the show at Lanier. They said, no, come on, we've had rookies that have missed races before and actually won Rookie of the Year. He was talked into coming. He had a great run going, only to have it in this way. And I do believe, I was kind of watching down in that direction. I saw him spin to the bottom, and I think another car might have clipped him right just entering the tri-oval.
Well, it's very unfortunate indeed. Jim Trado, let's take a look at what may have happened here.
Here's your top 5 cars. We see Jimmy hard into the wall off of turn number 4. It appeared he might have been by himself as he came hard across the racetrack. Luckily, no one else was involved.
And so they're tending to Jimmy right now, and it looks like, yeah, he's taking the helmet off, so they're just talking to him, keeping him calm at this point. Going to get him out of the car. There's number 17. Mr. Garvey, as he is having himself a very good race. Now, we talked to a number of drivers. Now, after they ran Lanier last weekend and they practiced at that point, what do they like better? Which track is their favorite? Here's Mike Garvey's comment.
If I had to choose, I like all racetracks, but if I had a choice, I'd rather run at the big tracks. Just from the fact there's more room to pass, you don't get stuck single file racing. I can't stand single file racetracks, so I mean, at least at the big tracks, we have the opportunity to go outside people and pass them.
Welcome back, everybody. Pit stops coming up. We want to remind you quickly of Inside Nextel Cup coming up Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All the news about what's happened in the Nextel Cup. Let's check in with Ken Stout. Butch Miller and Mike Garvey are coming in.
Mike Garvey comes in. Keep in mind, guys, it looks like they're making a pretty big chassis adjustment there to the left rear. They are allowed to change tires and add fuel. All in one pit stop now. They're not going to change tires. The hood's going to come up. Apparently, some sort of engine problem with Mike Garvey. Looks like they might be making a chassis adjustment on the front of this car. Looks like they put a little track bar in it. They're going all over the place with Mike Garvey. Apparently not very happy with this setup. Guys?
All right, and here's Butch Miller, and he just finished a quick pit stop, and he is heading out, which I thought may have been just a great strategy move in the sense that he wasn't getting up through the pack all that fast, duck into the pits, make a quick change, and then move out once again. And Garvey now finally underway. That was a longish stop. Obviously, they topped off the fuel when they made the adjustment.
And these teams, again, are playing with strategy. We mentioned there's only about a 45-lap window for fuel, and they can do the fuel stop and change tires. In regular ASA racing on short tracks, you have your choice of one or the other, only 2 tires or fuel. They've modified it here knowing that the fuel window is about the length of 40-45 laps. So that's really a safety issue, getting these teams back out on the racetrack, trying to minimize the number of green flag pit stops if they happen at all here in ASA.
You just saw a quick shot of Kevin Sawinski, the crew doing a great job getting him out. Here is our race leader. That is the number 74, the young rookie Jay Middleton. What a story he was in qualifying. Absolutely phenomenal effort. But in the first couple of races this season, he went through a bit of a roller coaster. And a bit earlier, Rob Albright checked in with him and asked him, is it heading back up again?
From the elation of a great first run at Lakeland to the devastation of failing to make the show at Lanier, Jay Middleton has experienced the gamut of emotions. This young Florida teenager will try to get it turned around. Jay, how did failing to make the race affect your team psychologically, and what will you have to do to get things on the upswing?
Well, it really hurt us. It put us back a little ways, but we just got to come out here in Kentucky and redeem ourselves. We're running real good, and maybe we get a top 5, maybe even a win. You don't know. Anything can happen here. We've been running real good all day, and I think we're going to have an excellent race car for the race.
One thing for certain, with his matinee idol good looks and his driving talent, this young man is destined for racing stardom.
Well, he certainly showed that he was able to get it done here in qualifying. Just a superlative lap once again, and he hasn't been headed yet. Now we've got a couple of guys. Number 19, Casey Smith, looks like he's planning on ducking in for a stop.
Third in the points, and Todd Cleaver also formed up behind him in the SK Tools Chevy. Now would be his second stop under this caution, so the team trying to make those adjustments. Jamie Bolkovac is that third car in line there, the Safe Auto Chevy, as she's trying to make her ASA run this season. Really a start to what could be a very promising run for that young lady out of Pennsylvania.
Well, it's interesting. Casey Smith, obviously, as you said, third in the points, was the points leader at the end of the race in Lanier. They had that little technical problem that cost him a few points, and he's third. But there's no question about his speed. And this is obviously just want to get one of the stops done early. And fuel playing such a key role here. We've seen a lot of guys early, Jim, just going for fuel for sure.
Including Robbie Pyle. He just came in and topped off. Now, what Casey Smith has in his favor, as he had at Lanier National Speedway last week, Joe Shear Jr. is back in the pit box for these guys.
And so is Rob Albright.
And it appears that Casey Smith will bring his Dodge on pit road. By the looks of things, he'll get fuel. Let's see if the crew does anything else to the race car. Slides to a stop in front of his stall. The fuel goes in. Yes, there will be a chassis adjustment. 2 rounds of bite out of the track bar. His crewman signals he's ready to go. Casey Smith is back on track. Also on pit road right behind him is Todd Cleaver. He remains still sitting in his pit stall as his crew looks under the right rear of that race car. Guys?
That was a fast stop, and here's a look too. That's Rich Locke, and he's got some serious problems. Hood up and a lot of, it looks like they've got a great big water bottle there, so he may be already having some sort of problem with the coolant system and working on that. So that doesn't look good.
The Wisconsin rookie driver really in his first season came out here and tested. Never been on a track bigger than a 3/4 mile or half-mile racetrack. He's adapted well to these speeds, qualified 11th. Unfortunately for Locke, those motor problems may kick him back in the order. There goes Jamie Bolkovac. We mentioned she is trying to make her ASA re-debut, if that's the word, because she competed in ASA, and I think in 1999 she raced in 3 or 4 events. And her limited schedule, she thought she needed more seat time. She got some great experience, won some races in late models in Pennsylvania, is now coming back to ASA. Her first effort, why not, on the Super Speedway in Kentucky.
And we get a quick report that Todd Cleaver made a quick adjustment right rear corner of that car, so everybody just trying to tweak things a little bit. Pace car is in. Middleton dropping way, way low. Glenn Allen Jr. staying up high, and as they roll up, Middleton floats up, and Allen tucks in behind. Light going with him, and there goes Refner. Boy, did Refner get a jump, and look at Middleton go way, way low.
That's the beauty of a big, wide, sweeping super speedway. ASA rules state once the track is green, the leader takes the green flag. Passing can only happen before the start-finish line on the outside, or actually at the start-finish line. So Refner giving that maneuver, maybe built some momentum as well going into turn 1.
Wade Day, we were just watching right there. The darker of those 2 red cars was Stephen Light right in front of him at this point as they go through. I think that was a very savvy move, and I think by Middleton, because you're not running full speed at that point. You don't need that momentum and that room. He took the shortest way, and look at that. He immediately got 3-4 car lengths. I think he said short way is going to be the quick way until we get up to speed.
And Middleton's team really does not have the super speedway experience. He's driving a very savvy race, a Florida Pro Series champion last year. These big tracks, he tested well here. He's in the top 10 in practice speeds all session long when the series came here for a 1-day test back on April 16th. Middleton was amongst the front runners, and he backed it up tonight with on the pole. Now he's led the first 20 laps of the race.
Absolutely great. We are watching a superb battle for the 8th spot right now, led by that dark blue car of Joey Miller. Behind him, the black Florida Auto Auction Chevrolet of Mike Cope. Then the 06, the Scottish driver, Ryan Dial, who I'll tell you what, coming from a road racing background, has very quickly shown he's pretty capable. And kind of a neat story, Jim, driving the number 5, normally piloted by Rick Beebe.
And Jason Deach is going to race all the super speedways in the past week or so. Rick Beebe, the car owner driver out of Missouri, Kansas, has combined efforts with Jeff Miller out of Ohio. And this team is really going to focus on young Kyle Jones and young Jason Deach and getting them some speedway experience. Jason Deach will be in this 5 car. Rick Beebe's here as an advisor to the team. Jason's going to be racing, and he's doing very well right now in that number 5.
There's the number 17 of Mike Garvey, the Janiking Chevy, after the stop, trying to work his way back up through the pack. And he is hustling along. And Ken Stout, that was an early stop. But these guys, they know strategy on these tracks.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Greg. They got a little strategy working, a few adjustments to the car. Talk to me about that pit stop and why you came in, Shane.
Well, we were in our fuel window. Janiking Chevrolet's been running real good all weekend. We knew we needed to come in if there was a caution around lap 16. There was a caution at 16, so we came in. The car was a little bit tight with the cool weather moving in, so we freed it up a little bit for the long run. We got 40 laps of green. There's a lot of people that'll probably be hurting. So we should be good, you know. Right now, it's playing into our hands.
They're banking on a 40-lap run here, guys. If they get it, then, of course, they'll have fuel, and the other guys won't. Back up to you.
That's a savvy move. One more stop for fuel anyway, and they ought to be good to the finish. Once again, strategy's so key here at a first time at this size track in a long time. But Middleton up front, Reffner now second, Stephen Light back to third. Welcome back, everybody. We're approaching 30 laps done out of 125 here, and the leaders have caught some traffic and are working their way through. Some great racing indeed. Middleton still leads it, but Reffner has been applying huge pressure, and Jim in particular, this happened about a lap ago.
Just a lap ago, Brian Reffner trying to wrestle the lead away on the inside of the Johns Manville Menard Chevy. He and Jay Middleton had a seesaw battle here. They actually make contact right here at 170 miles per hour. Middleton able to save it. Reffner able to back out and burp it. And now, look again. This is live here at Kentucky Speedway.
And this time Reffner gets a little bit of a run, and he drops low, and he'll nose ahead. And this is the first time, though, that he's been able to stay ahead, because Middleton generally has been able to come back around the outside. But Ken Stout, Reffner, he's got some experience here in the past. Maybe it's paying off.
Well, of course, as a former champion, he definitely knows how to get it done. He has a couple of tricks inside of that car, though, for this race. They actually have a different transmission, different ratios inside of that transmission, so that they can get a great restart. Obviously not using that particular part of it right now. What he did do was try some softer springs in the second practice. Didn't work. He was the fastest car in the first practice. They went back to that original setup, and now it's paying off. He is fast, guys.
He's quick, and Jim, he's got a pole here in the past. I think it was at the Trucks.
In the Truck Series, and he also ran in 1994. ASA ran at Michigan International Speedway, and Brian Reffner led a majority of that race as a rookie driver. So as in terms of speedway experience, the chassis themselves have been updated and changed, but really the center section and the way these cars perform since 1992 has remained unchanged. So Brian's comfortability has paid off because he's led practice sessions. His wife Renee told me he's kind of bummed he didn't win the pole, so I'm sure he wants to lead the most laps.
Well, he's doing the job now. Middleton now coming up, and also Stephen Light on a bit of a charge. He's moved up into third, and here is number 30, Travis Kittleson, the Bob Steele Chevrolet. Remember, started 21st and has worked his way back up to 11th. He is once again showing an awful a lot of determination, Rob.
You know, Greg, he did line up 21st, actually dropped to the tail of the field before the start of the race because they were so disappointed. Gary Crooks, your car was fast here in testing. You came back, it wasn't good today. What have you done, and why is he making his way back toward the front?
Well, when we got here, they had a different tire for us for the right-hand side, and they had kicked our butt. It took us all day fighting and fighting and fighting, and we're still not right, but we're better. And this Bob Steele Valvoline team, they just never give up. We fought all day, and we'll get to them. We'll get them. We got another 100 laps yet, and we're still trucking.
They fought a week ago at Lanier, trying to battle back tonight, guys, and maybe pick that lead back up again that he held after the first race of the season.
Well, I tell you what, I really think that team, and certainly Travis has been talking about it ever since, that was a championship level caliber finish at Lanier. Never say die. They had, I don't know what, 7, 8, 9 stops, never lost the lead lap. That car was covered in tape, and they came back and stayed in the hunt. That's impressive. right now, this is a good battle as well. That's Deitch and Ryan Dial, the Scotsman in the green ASA Limited car.
And this is their first race on a super speedway. Dial came to this country with very little stock car experience. It might be his only 8th or 9th time behind a stock car in a competitive situation. Jason Deitch, there's 2 ASA starts. These guys are very, very well trained. Buddy Baker has helped out John Dial. Butch Miller is his teammate. And of course, we mentioned Rick Beebe and Jason Deitch have worked very well together. They've gelled well. Rick Beebe's been here all weekend helping this team perform in that red and black number 5.
And look who's coming up behind them. That's silver and black, Bob Steele Chevy of Kettleson. So that would, obviously Kettleson sits 11th. These guys are battling for 9th right now. And Kettleson does seem to be closing up on him just a little bit. But I'll tell you, Kettleson's car is quick.
What's impressive is these young guns, they may have qualified up front. They've not fallen off the pace. They've actually accelerated and gone through the top 10. And what you see here is the future of ASA stock car racing. The best short track racers have come to ASA. The opportunity to race on super speedways have given these young drivers some great opportunity as well here tonight in Kentucky.
And they are showing their stuff. We continue to watch this battle. We move up front. There is Refner. They're going by putting Todd Cleaver down a lap, so Todd's car just not working right now. There goes Stephen Light, the red Waltom Racing Development Chevrolet, moving by as well and making the move. But got right behind them. Another good story is Ryan Unzicker. Who's having a solid run.
Unzicker ran some ARCA races on dirt last year, and prior to that had run some dirt late model stuff. So Unzicker very new to ASA. That team has had success in the past with Ken Raleigh on the dirt in ARCA, but as they make their way into ASA, they had Bob Strait with them last year. A whole new operation for ASA efforts for Unzicker this year.
You know, what we're watching here is sort of a revisit of qualifying, because Stephen Light went out, surprised everybody, putting up a great pole time, and it wasn't until Middleton came along, these 2 rookies dueling it out qualifying, and they're battling right now for second, and they are it's impressive to watch these young drivers do what they're doing. And I mean, you've got a very savvy veteran like Refner up front. These guys aren't losing much touch. They're about a half second adrift.
19-year-old Jay Middleton coming out of Florida. Again, as Rob touched on, he was thinking maybe not coming to this event, having the drive of his life right now. And 17-year-old Stephen Light, the youngest point leader ever in the series history of ASA. And looking at how the young driver's been able to adapt, he's under the tutelage of Howie Leto back in Wisconsin. He moved from North Carolina, did Stephen Light in that Waltom Development number 4 to Wisconsin to work in that shop each and every day with that crew. So that seems to be paying off as well as they get comfortable with each other here early this season.
Well, it's interesting too watching these guys trying to figure out how to deal with traffic, what line's best, where you want to run a little high, where you want to drop low. Very different.
And I asked Jay Middleton before he had a chance to explain to Ken Stout earlier about his lap in qualifying. He said, you know what I did? I went a lot different. I went a lot higher through 3 and 4 to gain momentum. I'm really good at 1 and 2, and it's certainly something he's been very stable and fast with through the corners here at Kentucky.
And of course, Travis Kettleson moving up just a little bit. He too, one of the drivers we talked to earlier about having run Lanier and practiced here. You like big or small better? And he said, it's all about the room.
I think I prefer the big tracks. They seem pretty fun. So many more grooves than a smaller track. And you can just move around, tune your car, and get harder racing.
Welcome back, everybody. We are now 43 laps complete of 125 here at Kentucky Speedway, and I get the feeling Brian Refner's looking in his mirrors going, what is with these young guys?
Well, Stephen Light has proven he's very consistent lap after lap after lap in posting times. He's got a veteran crew chief saying, really calming him down, and the team itself has been very patient with this young driver. Again, learning the ways of ASA. He had limited runs last year, I think 6 or 7 starts, showed some signs of really strong runs, but didn't back it up. Now he finds himself with 2 top 10 finishes in the point lead, chasing down Brian Refner. Again, Refner's got a lot of experience on tracks like this, so he might just be settled in here at this point, working through traffic, trying to stay close with Refner as he's closed in now from what appeared to be about a 10-car length lead before our commercial break, and he's really made up a lot of ground here.
Well, and a very smart thing for Stephen Light to do right now is follow him, learn, watch, what's he doing in traffic, and see how that works and really check out the line. By the way, 2 of the protagonists we talked about in that little grudge match situation, both Casey Stump and Mike Cope have had problems. Cope has a battery issue. He changed it. He's back behind the wall, still working on it. And Casey Smith came in, no brakes. And so he's out there just sort of in post mode trying to accumulate whatever points he can. So problems there. But up front, we have ourselves what you call a great race. Stephen Light still really hammering after Brian Refner for the lead right now.
And really, these BF Goodrich tires have been developed for super speedway racing. They're not running interliners because BFG thought the technology was strong enough. They did test with Mike Garvey and Robbie Pyle at different points last year in anticipation of the super speedway testing. The underliners were not needed according to what their build and construction was. They refined it since these Speedway tests have been completed, and now this tire really has been holding up well because the speeds haven't really fallen off as much as maybe some of these teams expected. Very good wear right now in this BFG Traction TA radials.
That's the battle up front. Here we go. We drop back to the 5th spot. That is Scott Legacy Jr., but we've got a big hit.
Jim Ross.
Over into, right in between turns 1 and 2.
Jim Ross out of Iowa, his first track experience on a track this large. Again, nearly the track champion last year at Hawkeye Down Speedway. Made the jump to ASA, and a hard lick for that late model veteran.
And he was just getting passed by that lead battle. Refner and Light had just worked by Jim Ross, and it looked like he was doing a nice job of just staying out of the way, but perhaps something happened, but he definitely got in it. He hit nose first, never something you want to see, but
the great thing about it is he dropped the window net.
That's
that
always
is the signal to the safety crews. I'm going to be okay. Just let me catch my breath a bit. But what a hard impact.
Oh, it was a hard impact, and also you can see coolant dropping down onto the track. Pretty serious there, so we're going to have to get that taken care of as well, as we are now, sun has set, lights are on, and it is absolutely beautiful here in Kentucky. Let's go back now and take a look at what happened.
Going down in the corner again, trying to get the leaders safely through. The left rear tire may have let go on Jim Ross's car, something he may have run over. As the car went in the corner, he tried to stay low, lower than customarily. But take a look at the left rear tire, Greg, as he gets a bit sideways here. The tire pops, a little bit of white smoke, and then the car goes away on him.
That was absolutely right. That tire just I thought maybe he had, when he got down the apron with the transition, but that tire definitely came apart. So Jim Ross, tough ride. The workers are over talking to him at this point, and we're going to step away for just a moment here from Kentucky. Welcome back. Third caution of the event thus far with the incident with Jim Ross, and it has afforded our leaders the opportunity to make their way down into the pits. And there you get the look, the top three making their way in, and it is Middleton stopping first. Let's get down to Ken Stout.
Brian Repner comes flying in, locks up all four, slides it into the pits. They'll change right side tires. The leader has been very fast. I don't see any chassis adjustments whatsoever. Right sides, and yes, they are going to change left sides as well, guys.
Stephen Light's car has been perfect, according to crew chief Howie Ladau. It'll be right side tires, just like Repner, the man he was chasing. No chassis adjustments whatsoever. Apparently the fuel man will wait. The rule this weekend is the car cannot be fueled until the jack is down. Jack is down, fuel man comes in. It'll be fuel for Stephen Light's machine, but a little bit of difficulty getting the nozzle fitted on that race car. Now Stephen is getting ready to go, still sits on pit road. Finally he takes off. Pretty decent stop for the Waltom development number 4. Guys?
Boy, and the longest stop of the bunch is Middleton. He's been stationary for quite some time. They look to be struggling with the fuel at this point. Now,
one indication is how big that puddle will be underneath that car. They're trying to get that fuel hose in. Again, this is a new team to ASA. This is an 11-gallon tank, 11-gallon gas can. You saw the puddle behind the car. Right. They're hoping to get as much fuel in as they could. If they spilled more than those 11 or 12 gallons, they had to go to a second can. It took a lot of time.
And it sounded to me like Refner took 4 tires and Light only got 2, and Refner beat him out. We want to welcome in a gentleman who's familiar to everybody who's been following ASA for a while, Bob Dillner. And Bob, give us your take on the race at this point. Great to have you here, by the way.
It's awesome to be here at ASA again. I love this series. They build champions, and it's interesting to see. I've been hearing you talk a lot about the young guns, and I tell you, Refner's one of those older guys, but he's really showing them some stuff here tonight. But Jay Middleton in that 74 car, he has showed me a lot here tonight. The kid has got some stuff behind him, and he's really wheeling that race car. And you know, he was on speed51.com as part of our short track draft, and that kid is going to make his mark here in ASA.
Well, like I said, I really liked what he did on that one restart when he went way low, and it paid off, I thought, and it was just a neat move because he went short way because he didn't need the speed. He didn't need to be up on the banking a little bit, and he's doing himself a great job. That pit stop, though, definitely hurt. They were stationary for a long time.
Well, they're a new team, and that's going to happen. I mean, Jim, we've seen that for years in ASA, and that sort of thing is going to happen when you got a rookie team. They're trying to learn a lot. He's trying to learn behind the wheel, and that just happens.
The team's put together a great piece, but this is really the first opportunity for these ASA teams to do a 4-tire change, and now the rule is you can't fuel the car until those tires are done. So the pressure builds as only 5 crew members can go over the wall to service these cars. Other series, 7, 8 guys, maybe an additional guy over the wall if you request it. So that is really getting worked out for the first time here this season in ASA, and it's the first time in a couple years, I believe, where they've been able to change 4 tires under a caution.
By the way, Robbie Pyle just ducked into the pits, getting a stop done for him, so that's going to fulfill his 2 mandatories, but I think it's a little early. Fuel is still going to be an issue as he's coming up and is able to get waved out right now. So there's the deal. But it was Brian Reffner was the guy who got in, got 4 tires, and did a nice job on that. Now, he's certainly had previous successes running on the super speedways, but this season it's been a little tough. Rob Albright asked him earlier, is it time to turn it around?
It's been 8 years since Brian Reffner earned the 1996 ASA National Championship, but a lot of folks feel with his big track experience, he may be the big dog at Kentucky tonight. Brian, the season off to a slow start. Can you get it turned around tonight at Kentucky, and how will you do it?
Well, for sure, this is the place that we're going to do it. We've got the car to win here, and you know, last time I was here in a truck, we sat in a pole, and the first time they were here, so this is the first time ASA is here, so we're shooting for the pole, and we're going to win this race.
A number of veterans have big track experience as they come to Kentucky tonight, but many of Brian's peers feel he's the guy to beat tonight in the Menard Chevrolet.
All right, and here's a bit of a surprise. A.D. Reffner back on pit lane, making his way down in. And I don't know exactly what the problem was, because he looked like he had
all the cars actually being sent down the pit road access because Jim Ross ended up in turn number 2. When the car stopped, we mentioned all that fluid coming down the racetrack. The entire field now is being sent down the access lane. So, again, that is a concern as well, because if you think about it, that access lane hasn't been used a lot either. And as they blow the track off, it goes right to that access lane. There was some concern about some grass buildup on the grills earlier today. And we mentioned that the temperatures are cooling and it's getting, the sun is going down, but it was a very warm day. And the practice sessions were in the heat of the day, so a lot of changes and adjustments. It was still very warm at 5 o'clock when these teams qualified, guys. I think the air temp was maybe down to 60, 75, 78 degrees. It was up in the 80s for most of the day. So now we're getting down 10 or 15 degrees more, and these teams weren't able to make those adjustments after qualifying before the race.
And also, it looks like Mike Garvey might be making his way down to the pits, but after everything's sorted out, after those rush of stops, it's a gentleman by the name of Ryan Unzicker in the lead. What a great story as more of them develop here at Kentucky. And we're back, just a little over 50 laps complete out of the 125 with the BF Goodrich Tires 125. Cleanup continues from Jim Ross's incident. A lot of fluid was deposited on the track. Now, we'd like to think that Bob Dildner was here just because it's an open ASA weekend and he stopped in, but you've got some business you're going to be attending to tomorrow night.
That's right.
Speed.
The ARCA Remax Series live on Speed Channel tomorrow night. Frank Kimmel, the 5-time champion, on the pole. Ryan Hemphill started out actually in the late models in the Pennsylvania area and then graduated to ASA, now running some ARCA deal with Braun Racing on the outside pole, and it's going to be a great race. I mean, we got guys just like ASA, the older guys like Vern Slaw, who's like 65 years old, and the young kids like Brandon Nupp. I mean, he's all of 18 years old with Chaser. It's a hangover drug, by the way, 18 years old. I don't get that right there, but he's one of those up-and-comers coming through the ranks, just like we see here in the ASA Racing Series. And I tell you, it's just awesome to be back here with a double header live on Speed Channel with the ASA Racing Series as well as the ARCA Remax Series.
And really, those ARCA Remax Series has been here in the past in Kentucky, and this is a great place to really unveil the ASA cars at a super speedway. And Bob, you noticed you've been following the ARCA Series, and of course, a couple of years in the ASA booth. The talk I know, and you've been talking to drivers as well throughout the weekend, these cars are very stable. The ASA cars were a question mark. Hey, the fiberglass body, will they hold up? Will they fly apart? Everybody's talking about the stability and the comfortability of these race cars.
So many people wondered how the ASA cars were going to adapt to these big tracks. And I talked to Travis Kittleson, driver of the Valvoline number 30, a little earlier, and he told me, let me tell you something, it's like driving a Cadillac out there. You heard him on that soundbite that you guys ran a little while earlier. He loves the big tracks, and you know what? That's the sentiment of every single driver in this field. A lot of question marks coming into the super speedway races, but now these guys absolutely love them.
And here you have a look at the pit summary, and the gentleman highlighted there in yellow is our current leader, and he has played it very, very well. Ryan Unzicker in fourth, came out first, and obviously he had some guys in front of him that stopped, maybe ran a little bit longer at this point. There's a good look at Ryan Unzicker as he continues to cycle around in the lead, doing a very, very nice job. Now, there's another gentleman who has been in the fray since really they rolled off the trailer, and it's this guy, Glenn Allen Jr., and he was the driver that Rob Albright talked to a little bit earlier. It's his first race of the season, but he's got super speedway experience. Is that going to help?
Veteran driver Glenn Allen Jr. is running just a limited ASA schedule this season, serving full-time as Chris Stump's team manager, but he's no stranger to big racetracks. In fact, Glenn Allen Jr. in 1999 was the NASCAR Busch Series Rookie of the Year. Glenn, does a big track experience work to your advantage?
Well, I feel like I got a lot of experience. It's exciting to be here at Kentucky and the places that we're going to run. Me growing up in Cincinnati, and that's where our race shop is, it's a great opportunity for me to come over here and race with great sponsors through Modern Office Methods and Technotron. A lot of Cincinnati-based companies involved, but I feel like we got a chance to win tonight, yeah.
Glenn Allen Jr. was the points runner-up in ASA in 1999, and he's hoping to be on the podium at this evening's finish.
Well, he's one of those veterans that we've been talking about and showing a nice ride here, driving that beautiful new Dodge Intrepid, sponsored by Modern Office Methods. It's not a corn dog, Jim, but Fredo's salivating here in the booth. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. You know, sometimes it's not just what unfolds on the race weekend, but it's the journey that plays a role in success, and that's what NBS 24/7 is all about. Behind the scenes, from checkered to green, the real world of NASCAR Busch Series racing, Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Check it out right here on Speed. And there is a look at our leader, Ryan Unzicker, as he continues to cycle here under the caution at this point, and is following the pace car around, but lights are out on the pace car. Now we're on board with Joey Miller, and Jim has him on the radio.
Joey Miller, Jim Trado in the Speed Channel booth. You worked your way up to 7th. Talk about the strategy now for this team and veteran leadership with Von Suss.
Well, we got a really tight car, so we're just trying to come in and make...
Joey Miller, do you copy?
Got some laps left, and now we're going to make a run to the front.
All right, I guess Joey's focused on this one lap to green. Unfortunately, as we ride along, it's his mom, of course, is in Minnesota. He said on a little bio sheet, you know what? People may not know this, but my mom still does my laundry. Isn't that kind of nice? He's 18, mom does his laundry, and now all his friends and everybody else knows that mom still does his laundry.
That's right.
He's got the easy life.
Exactly. When he makes it big, he'll send her that package every month, and all she has to do is launder it and send it back. Lights out, and you can see right there Ryan Unzicker trying to get those fronts heated up just a little bit as we are getting ready to go back. We have completed 58. When we go green, 59 in the book, so approaching halfway here. And it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds here with Brian Reffner with that stop. Certainly Stephen Light, and right behind him is Reed Sorensen. So Sorensen has played things very well.
And some of these young guns, we alluded to it earlier, but you know what? They've had experience on some bigger tracks and late models. The NASCAR Touring Series has offered Craig Smith and even Joey Miller some opportunities. Joey Miller's won a pole at Phoenix, so the big track for ASA drivers is nothing new, but to get them in these ASA cars at speeds of 170 miles per hour is pretty neat to see here at Kentucky tonight.
And we're going to see it right now, and as they pick up the green at lap 60, we're going to let you enjoy the sounds of speed. Barely touched the wall, just broke away from him, diving down into turns 1 and 2, just kissed the wall. Damage, don't know, but he got away with one in a sense there. The car is still just driving along.
And turn 2 was a trouble spot in practice today. Reed Sorensen actually took out his primary car off of turn number 2. Peter Coslino in qualifying took out his car off of turn number 2. So if there's a tricky spot the teams have found, it's off of turn number 2.
And you know, Jim, I was talking to some of these drivers earlier today, and this raceway was ground a little while ago, and the teams are having trouble actually feeling where they should get on the gas and let off the gas, and maybe that's what happened to Stephen Light there. It's kind of like, looks like what it did happen.
Yeah, you can see a little smoke, so he's at least got some rub.
And the right front wheel is towed out.
Yeah, he definitely clipped her just a little bit. Let's go back and take a look at it.
Running behind Ryan Unzinger, just got loose on him, guys. It looks like he may have burped the gas. Perhaps he was on the rear tail of Unzinger. And keep in mind, the draft in the air is all new to these drivers. He just taps the wall there hard enough to knock the front end out of alignment, in my estimation. But look how he closes on Ryan Unzinger's rear deck here. It could be an air situation where he got either sucked in or maybe something loosened up on the nose and sent him around.
Now watch here. I think number 74 Middleton ended up involved in this as well. So I thought I saw him get a little bit crossed up. I don't know if we're going to see it in this angle.
The early race leader was behind Stephen Light, and as he was slowing on the backstretch when Stephen was going this slow, so was Middleton. So the race leader early on, he wasn't too safe through that one.
Well, Light quickly, it looks like, going to make his move down into the pits and get that car looked at. But tough break. You know, we heard Steve Garvey in one of our features at Lanier talking about at this track, you get up underneath somebody, and that can affect how the aero is flowing over that car, and it can take the air off the nose or it can drive the nose down. you don't exactly know what happens. But anyway, Stephen Light is in, and Rob Albright's waiting for him.
You know, Greg, the only thing that I can use to describe the looks on the faces of his crew are perplexity. They don't really seem to be talking. They have not yet been able to assess the damage, obviously, from inside the race car. Stephen does not know how bad it is. The only thing they know for sure that they plan to do is change right side tires. So Stephen now just getting ready to slide to a stop in his pit. We can see there is some damage to the right front corner of that automobile. So he comes to a stop. The jack goes underneath. It will be right side tires, and they'll go to work on that right front corner of that number 4. Wow, what a tragic situation for Stephen Light's team. He seemed to be just cruising out there, riding in the second position before the most recent caution that brought him down pit road. They continue to work on that composite body work in the right front corner. They had a great deal of difficulty getting the right front tire off, and now a new one will go on. They continue to pull, tug, and work on that fiberglass or composite body work. Stephen Light still sitting, guys, on pit road.
Well, the interesting thing is if that is the problem, and the smoke was simply that the bodywork had been folded over on it, he may be able to have an opportunity here without that serious damage. But let's check in with Ken Stout on another development.
Yeah, well, these guys are going to be coming down here in the pits in just a couple of moments. Jeff Streeter from Chowchilla, California, is actually getting a little bit of help from Ryan Unzecker's team from El Paso, Illinois, the number 66 car, which of course is leading. They're across the wall here, and as soon as they get a moment, they're actually going to use the crew from the 66 car. Ryan Unzecker's crew will help Jeff Streeter as he comes into the pits to change tires. Here he comes right now as they come out of turn number 4 and then down pit road. They'll go to work hard. Obviously, Ryan Unzecker not coming in this particular time. Guys?
There's a little sportsmanship there to be able to let your crew go help another competitor. And also number 44, we get the report Casalino has ducked into the pits as well. And that's been a fairly interesting story for Peter Casalino after a big crash in qualifying. He's in the pits and has been able to keep that car motivating right now. So Casalino is in, and some of the others taking advantage. We're going to step away for just a moment as we have now completed 63 laps here at Kentucky. Welcome back. We're just about to go back to green, and Jim, you've got Mike Garvey.
Mike Garvey, Jim Trado in the Speed Channel booth. Now that you've had a chance not only to test and practice, but now race, what is it like racing here on a big track, the super speedways with these ASA cars?
Good, Jim. Got to have the cars really good and free to run fast, so we're going green here. I got to go.
All right. Mike Garvey, do you copy?
Going green. Get off the radio.
Okay. That's the word from Shane Tesh, the crew chief. Going green.
Well, lights are out on the pace car, and it's making the way in. No uncertain terms there either. All right, here we go. Coming up, Ryan Unzecker leading. Garvey sitting in the second spot. Oh, man, I don't know whether somebody went early or whether Unzecker backed off, but we've got 3 abreast, 4 abreast, heading through the tri-oval and heading down into turn 1.
Wow, Glenn Allen.
That was unbelievable.
There.
Yeah, here comes Refner. Refner taking a huge run right down the inside. Refner moves by. Glenn Allen right there as well. And is that is Travis Tittleson working the outside, and then Scott Lagacy in that blue and white car with the yellow highlighting. So a lot of developments here, and that restart absolutely phenomenal for Refner. Unzicker sits second. Then there's Glenn Allen. Then there's the 30 of Kittleson, that silver and black car. And right behind him, you see that blue car of Lagacy. That's your current top 5 at this stage. Big move there. That's number 8, Chris Stump, who is having one of the best races we've seen from him in some time. They are dialed.
And think about this, Chris Stump has Glenn Allen Jr. as his team manager, and Glenn Allen's a driver tonight. So the focus has been on getting these super speedway cars right, but Glenn had 2 jobs to do. Get his own car ready for Ed Hawk Motorsports in the 53, who's had a stellar run tonight, as well as Chris Stump's best run. He was really struggling last year. I thought he would be the most improved driver amongst the teams, and he's proving it tonight in that McDonald Chevy.
Rob Albright, what's up with Stephen Light?
Well, I'm not sure. We were just ready to do an interview with Howie Letta, the crew chief, to see if he could assess the damage for us. Suddenly on the restart, Stephen Light was slow off turn number 2. He's on pit road. They're not really sure what the problem is, but certainly a very disappointing end to the evening for Stephen Light, guys.
Well, Jim Trado was convinced there was damage to that right front, and I think he just was proved right because maybe something let go there. Meanwhile, here comes Glenn Allen now trying to take a run at Unzicker at this stage. Refner continues to hang on up front with the 66 of Unzicker, and then Glenn Allen right behind him continues to be Kittleson, and then Lagasse dropping low and trying to work a line here coming out of 4. Not quite going to work. And by the way, the last time through turn 1, Kittleson dropped his left side down below that white line under the apron, and a lot of sparks coming out that car. There it goes again. So I don't know whether that's just a ride height situation. That time he didn't drop below the apron. I thought maybe it when the left side tires hit that flat apron, it forced the rights down, but not the situation.
And guys, you know what's so cool about this right now? Nobody knew how ASA was going to perform on this racetrack. Take a look at this right here. They are nose to tail right now, but they have been 2 and 3 wide all night long. This is what makes the ASA Racing Series so special.
And by the way, you saw the cross flags. That is the official halfway for the BF Goodrich Tires Halfway Award, which goes to the veteran tonight, Brian Refner. Great story for him. Obviously, we're past halfway. They have to have 5 laps of green flag racing before we get to that. And I'll tell you, BF Goodrich, boy, have they stepped it up. I mean, they had to develop a tire for the super speedways. They've refined it. They've worked on it. They are a tireless group of people. And Brian Refner doing them proud tonight by getting that halfway award.
Refner leads Ryan Unzicker and running third. Again, we mentioned Glenn Allen Jr., the modern offense method Chevy. Travis Kittleson runs in that 4th position. Scott Lagasse, the Florida driver. We thought he was very strong on short tracks. This super speedway experience with that white and blue number 20, he's doing a great job tonight in the top 10 all night long.
Jim, I think he may be the strongest car up there right now. Scott Lagasse really coming through the field. I think Travis Kittleson is strong in that black and silver Valvoline number 30, but he seems to be bottoming out in the corners, and I think that's shaking the car up, and that's why he can't get at the 3rd place car.
Well, when he turns in, I think you're right. As he turns in, he bottoms out, and the car seems to skate just a little bit. And every time he does that, Lagasse looks underneath. And I think Kittleson's going to have to maybe go into a protect mode here. There it is again. I'll tell you, Scott Lagasse, this team does so much with so little. And you see those big blank paddles, on the side of the car. There's no sponsorship on that. And Rob Albright, if ever a team deserved it, imagine what they do with money.
No question, Greg, and I'll tell you, he almost didn't race tonight. In the second practice session this morning, the car, he was on the racetrack behind another race car. A piece of metal came off the other car, literally ripped a chunk out of the left front tire and went up under the hood, poked a hole through the underside of the hood of Scott's car, barely hang on to it. Wow, what an amazing comeback from near disaster earlier today.
And speaking of barely holding on to it, a little bump between 30 Kittleson here and Lagasse as Lagasse drove by him, and Kittleson floated way high. Looked like he got off the pace for just a minute, maybe just to reel it in and save it. We're going to show it to you once again. Take a look at this.
This is the battle for the position. Scott Lagasse trying to take away 5th from Travis Kittleson. That little bump as Kittleson maybe just backed off the gas as they go through right here on the front stretch. The first bump, the second would come through the corner. Kittleson goes high. Again, just that little tap. At these speeds, Kittleson's not used to that. Thank goodness he saved it and wasn't way out in the marbles.
I think you hit the nail on the head. These guys aren't used to running side by side on a big track like this, and you can't really fault anybody right there. That was just plain racing.
Yeah, it looked like Lagasse just made a little move to try and set up for the corner, and Kittleson was where he was going, and it clipped just a little bit. And boy, Lagasse looking awful aggressive. Ken Stout, he's looking to duck down, and well, didn't get it done, but he is racing.
You know, guys, I had to ask him. I said, man, did you have a big pucker factor when you headed into that turn at 170? He said, no, not at all. He says, as a matter of fact, I test with shifter carts. He says, you run 130 miles an hour in a shifter cart a couple inches off the ground. He says, once you get in a full-bodied car and you've got all that protection around you, you're fearless and it feels like you're going slow. He said, I love this place, guys.
Shifter carts, how about wakeboarding? He's an absolute nut. That stuff's crazy, but look at this move. Boy, did he take advantage of that lap car. He's trying to. Underneath Glenn Allen Jr., everybody, Bob, went way high there, and Lagasse just straight lined right underneath him.
I tell you, Lagasse is a kid that's got a lot of confidence, both on the track and off. He said, you know what, you need to put me on TV more often. I'm a good-looking guy. I need some chicks. This kid is really doing something here, and he is making his mark here in ASA up to 3rd now, and I think he's going to be a threat for this win tonight.
He's a good-looking guy, and he is a talented race driver, and it is showing as he's coming along once again. That is going to be for 2nd if he makes it stick, and he does it. Well, I don't know if he's going to complete it, but boy, he's got that line underneath working to near perfection. Unzicker playing him tough on the high side. That is your battle for 2nd spot with Glenn Allen Jr. right behind them. But up front, the KG veteran. There he is, number 80, Brian Refner. And with all this side-by-side battling, you'd have thought maybe that Refner would drive away from it. And that's not the case. These guys are going quick, and now they're coming up on traffic, and Chris Stump coming right into the mix on this as well.
This is the battle for second. Unzicker really wants to get single file by this point because a lot of the lap cars are on the inside. We saw the daring moves of that blue and yellow and white number 20 of Scott Lagasse. So now they're backing off a bit as they want to get through this traffic to resume their battle.
All right, we are closing in on 80 laps complete here of the Tires 125 from Kentucky Speedway. We're going to step away for just a minute, but the racing is definitely heating up. Leaders working traffic. Welcome back. Our fifth caution has just come out here at Kentucky Speedway. That is Dominic Vara, the number 18, who nosed her gently into the wall. He's driving away under his own power, and ironically, he was just sort of the focal point of a massive multi-car pass by the lead group, which now is led by this guy, number 20, Scott Lagasse Jr. And we're going to go back and show you what I was just referring to as they came up on the back of Dominic Vara, that lead group. It was spectacular. Look at Lagasse down low.
Through this awesome trioval, look how low Lagasse gets. Again, 2 lap cars ahead of him, Dominic Vara and Troy Wanger. And Lagasse says, you know what, Brian, I want this lead bad. And Refner, what he did, a smart move. The Menard Chevy backed off a bit. Lagasse led the field on the outside of the lap cars. Right behind him came Glenn Allen Jr. And Refner kind of just did the smart thing, I think, right here. If you want it that bad, Scott, make the crazy move. Ooh, they did touch there.
They touched. Boy.
You know, Jim, as you said, I mean, that was experience by Brian Refner. He's been on these racetracks before. He knows, hey, I got a lot of time left. I'm going to back out here. I know some bad stuff could be happening, so I'll just chill out for a while.
And by the way, gentlemen, if you notice at the tail end of that replay, there was also a bump between the number 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. and Unzicker behind him as they floated way up high. So there was a little double contact in that mess.
These are short track race cars. They're racing on super speedways with short track maneuvers here, and it's getting pretty crazy out there.
I tell you, Unzicker's doing a great job, and I mean, an interesting background on that dude.
Farmer City, Illinois dirt track. He was a street stock champion. I have my facts wrong. He was a street stock champ in 2003 and did this just last season. And he said, oh, his family's been involved in ARCA racing. Bob Strait's the lead guy, and he came in and just ran the dirt track ARCA races on the mile dirt, which is pretty tricky because those tracks are pretty treacherous. But to do that and then get the opportunity here in ASA, I'd say he's making a lot of fans in the ASA pit lane, much less the race fans that are here tonight watching. He's doing a great job.
He's doing a superb job. We're on board right now into the caution with Joey Miller, another of those fast young drivers. And I think the comment that Mike Garvey made about Joey Miller here when Miller said, I think 170 is easier than 100, maybe it applies to Scott Lagasse. Garvey said they haven't hit anything in 170 yet, and that's why these guys are driving like they are out front maybe.
You know, Joey Miller told me when he tested here, he said, you know, it's pretty cool. I'm out there, I'm on the back stretch, I grab a Coke, a cheeseburger, have some fun, but there is no eating in that car tonight. Let me tell you something, these guys are up on the wheel side by side all night long, and Joey Miller, actually, I thought he was going to run real well early on, but he seems to be slagging back a little bit right now.
The team really was befuddled. They didn't really know what was going on because their test session went very well here, very well at Atlanta Motor Speedway last Thursday, a week ago Thursday. They came in here very confident. Bon Suss, again, the crew chief for Joey Clanton's championship efforts in 2002, they were really struggling today in practice. They're 15th, 18th in the charts and really didn't know why. And Joey just said, we had to step it up for qualifying. They changed a lot of things on that brake clip Chevy, made it work.
And tell you what, he's been in the hunt, although as Bob said, he's dropped off a little bit. By the way, I want to remind you about Two Wheel Tuesday. Coming up Tuesdays, 8 p.m., and every Tuesday, Greg White brings you motorcycling news and special guests from around the world of racing. And it all unfolds right from Greg's garage. That's Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, Two Wheel Tuesday. And the leader bringing him down into the pits, Lagasse, leading the troop in. And this is now at lap about 83, I think we are just about to complete, which means this could be a final stop for these guys, and it could be just racing to the finish.
And here again comes the experience. The experienced team. Scott Lagasse only ran partial schedule last year if his team wants to do what the other boys are doing, 4 tires, then fuel. He'll have to do it very quickly, and these teams are more skilled, I'd say, and practice more often than Scott, again, trying to race by race right now.
And there's a split screen, Lagasse on top, Glenn Allen in the middle, and Refner down at the bottom with, you can just see Chris Stump coming in as well. Refner hits the marks. They get stopped. Lagasse much farther down the lane. That could play to his advantage if he could get this stop done in a hurry.
Looks like fuel only for Scott Lagasse.
Take a piece of tape off the grill as well. The car might be running a little bit cool on temperatures. And again, out in front for the first time, Lagasse's car was fast. They want to get a little bit faster.
Boy, and he has beat the other two guys out decisively with that fuel-only stop. Now Glenn Allen moves. Refner still stationary.
Chris Stump in that McDonald's car just behind him with a pretty good pit stop as well.
Boy, did that sequence work to Chris Stump's advantage. They played that beautifully, and Refner's still sitting there. They are topping that thing off with every ounce of fuel possible.
Well, the fuel window's got to be pretty close now, Jim. What did you say?
Yeah, 125 laps total, and the team's thought maybe 40, 45 laps. So we are within that window. And one thing that Brian Refner has this year, didn't have 1 year ago, I call him a race strategist extraordinaire. Carl Hart was the crew chief for this team, but he also worked with Butch Miller for many years as really the advisor. And when Butch Miller came back to ASA a season and a half ago, he came out victorious in his first ever race. Carl Hartman was the man that really worked with Butch when he returned to ASA in a victorious fashion.
You just saw that stat, and you saw the guy who won that last race, Jimmy Sauter, and a little bit of a connection between Sauter and Legacy here. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Unzicker in. We'll be right back. We're back. Sparta, Kentucky, the Kentucky Speedway. BF Goodrich Tires, 125, round 3 of the ASA National Tour, and it has been, I think, really a fascinating race. We've seen an awful lot of some great racing. We've seen some awful gutsy racing, and we've seen some rookies showing some awful good stuff. But there's certainly been some moments. One of the rookies, and Bob Dillner, you were just chatting about it, was what's happening. Although Sorensen's not officially a rookie anymore, but he's a young driver with a car that's not strong and doing a very, very good job.
Gene Roberts is his crew chief, and he is a legend in the short track realm, and he is really keeping him in the mix of things. Of course, they wrecked their primary car, as you mentioned. This car that they have, I think, Jim, you mentioned it before, it's just a short track car. It's nothing special. It doesn't have a good engine, but he is trying to get out there and to stay in this championship hunt. He knows he needs to stay out there and get as much points as he can.
And really looking at the veterans and how they started the season, Kevin Swinski got back to 5th in points, but really didn't have a great run last race. And Mike Garvey had problems. Robbie Pilot had problems early in the race season. So really these youngsters are starting to shine early and putting some pressure on those veterans.
Now, I mentioned some of that fairly intense racing out there. Let's go back, take a look at some of the highlights here. Boom, right there early on. Big hit there by Jimmy Henderson. And he's out. Now take a look here. This is
Jim Ross just locked the left rear tire, might have run over something trying to get out of the leader's way, and it cost them there.
Couple of hits there. Then here's Stephen Light, and
fresh on a restart. That was for second position.
And I think you guys were right on that one. I think he got up underneath and either lifted abruptly or just dabbed the brakes, and it got away from him. And some bumping. There's a little more bumping. That was the lead change, and that was the secondary bump there between Allen and Unzicker. So that's kind of racing we've had. 5 abreast on occasion. That's pretty good stuff. And let's check in with Rob Albright. We were talking about Sorensen just hanging in there.
You know, Reed didn't even want to race tonight. Before the race, he told me after all the trouble we've had, we crashed our primary car, the engine doesn't want to run in the backup, I don't even want to race. Well, let's see if we can get a different story from his dad, Brad. Brad used to be the crew chief. Now you're just dad. Tell us what you've been through mentally today. Is it any easier just being dad?
That Target Havolet Dodge is up front, and we're happy. I'm glad just to lead laps out here. Now, everybody just pitched in on this whole crew and worked their butts off and unloaded that short track car, and we got it going. So it's not the best, but we're going to stick with it, and Reed's doing a great job. And I'm glad Gene's the crew chief up there keeping everybody straight, because it's pretty nerve-wracking. But everybody pitched in, got together, and we got this car as good as we can get it.
Well, you know, it's funny. When he was Reed's crew chief, he was always really calm, cool, and collected. But watching him tonight, I'll tell you, he's a nervous wreck just being popped, guys.
Well, he doesn't have anything else to focus on, so he's just going nuts. And I'll tell you, one of the things I think this is something that I think Reed Sorensen is extremely good at for his age and experience level, is when he's got a car that's problematic, he's in a problematic situation, that doesn't bother him. He takes what the car gives him, and he's doing a really, really savvy job of it.
He is, and Jim, we've seen him for years in ASA, the past couple of years run ASA, and he has matured so nicely through the past couple of years. He came in here and he was already mature beyond his years when he first began, but he's got that patience that not many teenagers actually have. And I tell you, he's got the world in his hand right now. He's got the Ganassi deal. He's going to run some ARCA races as well by the end of the year, and then he's going Busch Series racing next year with the Ganassi bunch.
And Wade Day right here is really showing a lot of improvement. He's run some ARCA stuff. He's run super speedways in the Dash Series. He qualified up front tonight, 3rd. I'd say he's doing really well.
And we're about to go green, and Wade Day, Ken, is having a great day.
Boy, Jim Trado was all over it as usual. Wade Day was running second at Daytona in a dash car, but was caught speeding on pit road. So they actually put him back. He ended up finishing the race in 9th place. Of course, this car here is his Lakeland short track car, and he was first in the test session here a little bit earlier in the season. No question about it, man. He's very, very fast, guys.
And as we're about to go back to green, let's give a call out to a guy named Ryan Dial from Scotland, who I don't know that he'd ever seen a super speedway before he came over here. He's sitting 3rd right now.
And again, he's got some great leadership. Butch Miller, a calming influence. John Dial is and Ryan Dial really in 2 different planes right now. One is in Toyota Atlantics. The other one said, I'm going stock car racing. And watching John perform tonight, Buddy Baker, again, one of our longtime ASA broadcast partners, he has been helping this young man adapt to speedways and through his Buck Baker driving school. And it's really paying off on a big track as they struggle. Usually comes for young drivers, not experienced on oval, on short tracks.
And Dial right there in that green car coming up and taking an early run for second on Wade Day. He tails off just a little bit as Day starts to heat it up. And I tell you, for Sorensen, that car, it's just not as quick as some of the others out there, and it's going to be tough for him to hang on to this lead, I think.
And the team had to go to work. If you joined us late, they under caution in the first laps of the race. Reed Sorensen actually came down pit road. They did some body maneuvering where they cut around the left rear fender well. So the body is such a critical aerodynamic piece of the components here. That car is handling as best as it can, but we saw Wade Day pretty much walk right past him.
But here comes Joey Miller in that Country Joe Holmes number 15.
Yeah, he just made a sweet move and came by, but we've got a car in the wall.
Ryan Unzicker.
That's Unzicker.
Absolutely flattened the tail of that Pontiac.
That's out of turn number 4, just coming into the tri-oval.
Good to see him drop that net because that indicates to ASA officials that he is okay.
But really, really got into that wall. Again, on restarts, we had a spin, kind of lost it by himself. Stephen Light over in turn number 2. Here, Ryan Unzicker really had a fast car, made a pit stop, and again, ASA rules now, or you're back to a single file restart. This young man in his first year of racing, perhaps, we'll have to find out. But unfortunately for Ryan, a great run gone bad here at the Super Speedway.
Well, you know, one of the things, too, you talked about it earlier, the temperature from practice and qualifying to now has tailed off huge. These guys don't have a lot of race experience here. And, yeah, there's a lot of room to roam on this super speedway, but cool tires from a caution, getting into the throttle too hard or whatever. I mean, this may simply be just an experience issue.
And we've seen some disparity on speeds on coming up to speed on restarts. The leader obviously sets the pace, but we saw a lot of sporadic spreading out as soon as they get past that start-finish line on the restart to gain position. Some guys better on restarts than others. We've seen veterans like Mike Cope have problems at Lakeland, Florida while leading, getting through the gears. So, again, the pressure is building on these young guys as the laps wind down to get some strong finishes to gain sponsorship and exposure for their team.
You know, I'm really impressed with ASA on the super speedway, but the one bad thing that can happen is this right here. His car is destroyed.
Well, let's check in with Ken Stout.
Hey guys, these BF Goodrich tires are awesome. There's no question about it, but I don't know if they were designed to go 84 laps. Take a look at this left front tire that came off of Ryan Unzicker's car. You can see it's down to the cords here. If you look at the wear holes over here, you can see they're pretty much non-existent. He just came in and made a tire change. You got to wonder when he went back out, maybe the tires that were on the car were cold, just didn't hold the track as tight as it should have. Guys?
Well, very possible, and certainly if he'd worn that tire down that much, putting the new tires on may have given it a little bit different feel, maybe a little too confident with it, and away it went. But we now are closing in on 90 laps complete. We'll be right back to Kentucky.
John DL came on pit road running in the second position. The young driver from Scotland having his first super speedway experience. Right side tires now in the process of being changed. At the very last second, crew chief Davin Sykes held up 4 fingers. We could see a little consternation, but he will get 4 tires. Left side's now underway for John DL down to Ken Stout.
Scott Lagasse comes in. He'll take on 4 tires. One of the tires completely cut, totally just shredded off the right-hand side of the car. He's back down on all 4s and heads back out. Guys?
Well, I think that might be simply a case of the fact that that last stop, he did just fuel. He ran those tires right off of that car.
That's a shame. He did not change tires in that last pit stop. But you know what, Jim? This is going to be awful exciting watching that 20 car come through this field.
And we've seen fresh tires in other series really develop and be the difference at the end of the race. These guys now have 4 fresh BF Goodrich traction TA tires. Will they have enough time really on these single file restarts? We saw with double file restarts in just the last 2 events, some of the faster guys haven't been able to clear other traffic. Here we're at a 1.5 mile racetrack. It's going to be fun.
Well, there's the crew doing a little bit of a cleanup work here. Now, number 44, Peter Casalino in that McDonald's machine, tell you, he has done an absolutely remarkable job just finding his way now into the top 10 because simply of this, which happened earlier in qualifying. And Jim Trado, this was a tough one.
In turn 2, I happened to watch it in person, just got loose. Peter said, I just happened to lose it, but look at how hard he hit that wall. Everything stayed secure. Peter climbed right out of that race car. They had the backup rolling out of the truck before they got really the car back to the pits. One important note, these teams have super speedway cars that they've really tweaked on, and they have short track cars. The stock cars we saw at Lanier, Georgia. This was a short track backup car earlier this afternoon, so a lot of credit goes to this McDonald's MCO team. And all they did, Peter was right in there with them, getting this car back square to race here tonight.
You know, one thing that I think we've heard a lot this season that bears repeating is from Todd Cleaver's problems just getting to the first race, and the transporter crash and damaged the cars, to what happened with Kittleson, to what happened with Miller, to what we are hearing so many of these drivers when they go, boy, good race for you, and they go, not me, this is the team that did because of these problems. And we've seen that played out in spades here with these guys having to convert these cars.
These teams are resilient. I mean, ASA has come a long way in the past 10 years or so. These guys are Nextel Cup and Busch Series, you know, caliber teams. I mean, the way they change tires these days, these are the next guys that you will see on the pit crews in Nextel Cup and in the Busch Series. Joe Zielinski used to change tires for Johnny Sauter in his championship run. Now he's changing tires for Kevin Harvick in the Busch Series. I mean, that's how good ASA is at not only preparing the drivers, but the teams as well.
That would be Johnny Sauter, not
Johnny,
Jimmy
not
Sauter.
Jimmy, yeah.
Thank you very much. So there, by the way, number 96, that Medicine Shop Chevy is our leader right now. Wade Day dropped back just a little bit, number 8. This is another great story. We've talked about it all day. Chris Stump, they are currently in the 4th spot, and they too have just put in some great efforts right now.
Chris Stump out of Tip City, Ohio, Flat Rock Speedway or Killcare Speedway track champion in late models. Really wanted to impress a lot of things. This year he came out with a team operation, got Tommy Morgan away from the 63 team and said, you know what, we got to make this right. Glenn Allen Jr. is going to run the deal. I'm going to drive the car. It's Chris Stump Racing. The McDonald's sponsorship's a regional opportunity from his short track days, so he wants to impress those folks as well. And man, Chris Stump is really, really impressing a lot of people here tonight.
Doing a very nice job, and he was really looking forward to coming here too. That was he was one of the drivers that was absolutely lit about coming to a big super speedway.
Wait a second, who wasn't lit about coming to Kentucky Speedway?
Well,
every one of these guys.
That's true. Well, that's not true. There are a couple of guys that they look forward to coming to it, but a few guys said, I still prefer running the bull rings, man. That's where it's intense and fun and nuts, but looks kind of nuts here too.
These fans are certainly in for it. And again, 94 unofficially laps completed out of 125, and really this will be the run. This will be the run to the finish, hopefully, for the BFG 125. And looking at how things stack up, Lagasse, will he have time to come through? A lot of storylines building up here in the final laps.
Jay Middleton trying to work his way back through the field again, our early race leader, and he's hovering around in the top 10 as well.
Well, they certainly have shown the speed. It's just a matter of time right now and being able to negotiate things. Boy, Wade Day bringing them up very slow.
Smart.
Very smart, but look at Sorensen, read him beautifully and stays right with him. Then Joey Miller. It's going to be interesting to see what Mr. Miller can do as we're going to sit back and enjoy the sounds of speed. Joey Miller didn't waste a lot of time, Bob. You were talking about how you had been watching him and really liked what you were seeing. Boy, Joey got a great run, and admittedly possibly slightly wounded Sorensen, but still, he really racked it by.
He moves up into the 2nd spot. You know, one thing about Joey Miller, unlike a lot of other guys in the field, Jim, and you know this, he's run a lot of NASCAR Elite Series races, both in the Midwest Series and the Southwest Series, and that's paying off here.
And he spent last year doing a lot of everything in preparation for a full run here in ASA on the super speedways.
By the way, you see the number 1, the Dodge Intrepid from Country Girl Racing of Sawinski. Of course, he's down a number of laps, but he's in the fact here. But it's his teammate, Joey Miller, running very well right now. Ken Stout, we've been watching him all day, and he just looks to be getting quicker.
Yeah, you're right. Bob Dillner's up there stealing my stuff, man. He's exactly right. You know, you got to keep in mind that Joey Miller qualified number 1 at both Phoenix and Pikes Peak. Did very well at Gateway as well. He had a top 10 car at pretty much all the big tracks that he ran. So he's very comfortable here. In fact, one race ago at Lanier, he said, man, I hate these short tracks. He said, I love the big tracks. I can't wait till next week. It's obviously showing. He's very, very comfortable inside of the car, guys.
Sorry, Ken. I missed the meeting today.
Joey, has been a lot of fun to watch, and look at this move here coming back as well. That is 17 Garvey. That is just trying to hammer it around the outside. Got by Stump, and he is on the prowl right now, moving up very smartly, that Jana King Chevrolet.
And Mike Garvey really is the driver that everybody looked to as what will he do on super speedways. He developed the car with Howe Racing, and ASA took Mike Garvey to task saying, you have Busch Series experience. Let's go to Atlanta. Let's go to Lowe's Motor Speedway. Get some laps in. Garvey was really the test pilot, along with some testing by Robbie Pyle to get these cars comfortable.
I was there for ASA's first test at the Lowe's Motor Speedway last year, and Mike Garvey took the majority of the laps there. And the reason why they use Mike Garvey, he's got a lot of experience in the NASCAR Busch Series and also a little Craftsman Truck Series. And take a look at Garvey. That guy knows how to wrestle a race car, and he's trying to move through this field under Middleton.
And one race ago on the little 3/8 mile bull ring at Lanier National, he had the best car at the end of the race. Can it happen again here? Garvey was really a guy to look to for the super speedways. His team really kind of calling the shots for other teams to follow, I think, right now.
You know, and that was really interesting. He pulled up underneath Middleton there, but it looked like a little arrow push happened, and he couldn't pull off the pass, Greg.
Well, and that's what he'd been talking about. He said that is going to be something that we're going to be dealing with in these cars, and that's what's going to make it fun and a real challenge. Certainly Stump in the mix, and you see Glenn Allen there. I mean, we've got some great racing. But I tell you what, in my somewhat limited tenure with ASA compared to you, one thing I've noticed, if Mike Garvey has a good race car in the latter 25 laps or 50 laps of a short track race, he is going to get that car to the front.
He is not afraid to wrestle with anybody. I don't care how small you are, how big you are. Mike Garvey is a guy that will duke it out with you right to the bitter end. And look at Brian Refner in that Menards number 80. He's coming back through the field.
He's coming back, and Toby Porter right in that mix as well. So we've seen a lot of guys that we hadn't seen for a while, but with that last pit stop exchange, when everything's sorted out, we got some faces we haven't talked about a lot that are right up front.
And they have one common thread. Other than Wade Day, who's got some experience in the dash car, these guys have experience on super speedways. Toby Porter in a truck series, Branson Busch events. These are now the moments where we see veterans coming to the point.
Look at that move by Refner. You call it, I mean, he just dropped low and blew by it.
Man, Refner is on a roll. He just goes by Glenn Allen Jr. in that Mom. I like that Mom-sponsored car there. Glenn explained that a little while ago in one of our features, but man, that Menard car is cruising.
Well, he was just...
Oh, Mike Garvey on the outside as if we're running Saturday Night Short Tracks in the last 10 laps here. Wow, what a move.
Well, Mike Garvey has always said, if the outside's empty, why not go there?
That's right. This is a little experience that we're seeing right now. Refner's got experience on this racetrack. Garvey does too.
Garvey right there just tucks back in behind. He saw that little bit of a bobble, and he floated up and just immediately saved it, got back in, didn't want to lose the draft. Middleton now taking a run. Looked like he was going to try and slingshot around the outside of Glenn Allen Jr. That second white car didn't quite pay off, and here comes Refner again, dropping down low.
Ever see Chris Stump with a low line? That black number 8 again, Toby Porter, the Myers Chevy trying to gain position on the outside. This is a good run for position as well.
Stump and Porter, that has been a great battle for the last 5-6 laps. They've been working each other over. And there goes Glenn Allen Jr. dropping down underneath Reed Sorensen. So Glenn Allen Jr. moving up as well. And we are closing in now. We're past 100 laps. Want to thank Bob Dillner for coming in. Really appreciate it, Bob.
It's been awesome to be here, guys.
All right, we'll be right back here at the BF Goodrich Tires 125. Welcome back. About 15 laps to go here in the BF Goodrich Tires 125. Wade Day, number 96, continues to lead, and Rob Albright standing by with that team's car owner.
Bob Harshberger, it's too early to celebrate, but last year we didn't see a smile on your face all season long. It was bad luck all the way, but you've got to be thrilled with the performance of Wade tonight in the team.
We paid our dues, man. Tonight's all worth it. Larry Collins, Duffy, all the guys at the shop, they've worked hard. That's what it's all about.
Well, Bob, I know you got a short track car here tonight. Did you have any compunction or any question, any concerns about bringing that?
No, not at all. Those guys, they set it up. They knew what they were doing. Like I said, Larry Collins, Hunley, they're all good. They put it in there.
Slow talking boy from Tennessee. Wade Day driving this car very loudly with his right foot, guys.
Slow talking, fast driving, but look at this. This is Legacy, who answers the question. He has come up through the pack like a hot knife through butter, and he just drove by a couple of guys that are awfully savvy. And I'll tell you what, we were wondering about, was his strategy a good one? And waiting so long to go to those tires? I guess so.
He's unofficially in the 5th position now with Scott Lagasse out of Florida, 2nd-generation driver. His dad, Scott Lagasse, was a very accomplished road racer, ran some ASA races, actually ran some Truck Series races as well. And he's here tonight with Scott Nelson, the team owners. Scott, and Scott are all putting their heads together tonight.
Oh, look at this battle here right behind now. That is Sorensen, and the white target car right behind him is Garvey. Right behind them is Stump. Right behind them, that's Porter. So that's the battle right there. But Lagasse, he went by these guys, and he's gone. He has absolutely checked out. He's already caught that pack in front. And I think Lagasse is on the fly. Look at this. Now Garvey trying to take advantage. Couldn't quite do it. Trying to use traffic as a pick. And that's the other thing I would say about Lagasse. He has made some of the best moves in traffic. Aggressive, maybe a little bit, for some guys, a little bit too aggressive. But that last pass, he used traffic like a pick and just rifled by these guys.
Reed Sorensen in the 6th position now, making way on the outside for Garvey to try to get a line on the bottom. Again, we don't do it. We don't see it in ASA. We don't see guys blocking each other. We don't see the last lap crashes for the win. This is some very good racing on a super speedway. First time here, Reed Sorensen's real first experience on a track like this. I know when he signed his Ganassi deal, one of his first tasks was actually to go to Talladega Super Speedway and do some TV filming. So this is not his first chance at high speeds, but really in this ASA car, everything is different.
Gives you an idea right there, the speed, 10 to go, 10 laps to go. Here comes Stump making the move to get by Sorensen. Sorensen floats up high, and Stump moves underneath. And that may be a little bit of the effect of that short track car, because you watch Sorensen and he doesn't seem to be able to quite get that thing to stay down low when he needs it to.
And one good break for Gene Roberts was the teams were not allowed to test to really change anything between qualifying and the race. And that team, those guys really worked hard to get that car prepared and took a little bit of a break. And I talked to Gene. He said, you know what, I think we're not really confident in this car. They took all the body braces off their super speedway car, put them on the short track car, created the body bracing for the window. Boy, those guys worked an awfully hard day today. A great top 10 finish would be a great payback by Reed Sorensen, who again backed his car in the wall in practice and had to go to backup.
Sorensen right there just did a beautiful job using traffic as a pick, got back around Stump, and he is fighting. There's no question that Sorensen is trying to hang on to whatever he can do. Meanwhile, let's move up front. There's Wade Day with Glenn Allen Jr. as we now have 8 to go. This is your battle for the lead. Glenn Allen Jr., a very experienced veteran. And Wade Day has some speedway experience, but he's got somebody with an awful lot of experience behind him. Look at Lagasse has already gone by Refner, so Lagasse is hooked up. The question is, there's your margin. There's Day, and Lagasse is a good chunk of time behind those two. There's obviously Glenn Allen sitting in second.
And Glenn Allen closed up on Wade Day, and now he's backed off a bit. I know Day was maybe waiting for him. You know how that master plan works, where you may have a bit of a faster car, let them think they can get to you, and then just pull away a bit again. It's a demoralizing effort. It's kind of like a prize fight. In the final round, save something to the end. Let them think you got you on the ropes, and then hammer down again to a 10-car length advantage.
Yeah, just drive the margin sometimes. You know, they close up, come back. There comes Lagasse into view in that backdrop, so that's the margin as we're coming up to 6 laps to go. And Wade Day awfully strong right now. Meanwhile, Glenn Allen doing everything he can to try and run him down, and Ken Stout, he's not closing in anymore.
I don't know if he's closing in or not, guys. Let's go to the crew chief, Shane Hawk. Shane, you said he was about 5/10 quicker. They've kind of stalemated here the last lap or so.
Yeah, we're pretty good right now. I think we got something for him. It's kind of rough with only 5 laps to go. If we had about 10, I think we might get him, but it'll be close. We'll see what goes on.
There you go, guys. They're not going to bite off too much right now, but there's no question. He has done a fabulous job. I'd love to see some good sponsorship on the side of that car the rest of the year. Guys?
There he is. Sorry.
Glenn Allen Jr. was 16 years of age when he started racing here in the ASA Series. It really was where he got his start. Wade Day, a rookie driver in quest of a race win here in ASA. Very elusive. We have a rookie point leader. Casey Smith is also a rookie, up in the top 3 in points coming into this. We are seeing a new age of ASA racing here unveiling before our ice here at Kentucky Speedway.
And Rob Albright, 96. Wade Day continues to run, but now Allen closing it up.
Here he comes.
And I'll tell you, Legacy is still coming as we now have, I believe, 4 to go. Boy, Glenn he is half that margin. He's taken a large chunk away.
Notice that Wade Day changed his line there. He went to the very bottom of the racetrack. That usually seems to be the lowest and the quickest line around, and he certainly got through that corner well.
See if we can get checked in with Rob Albright again.
You know, guys, technology can be a wonderful thing. Sometimes, however, it can create major problems. The scoring pylon is not correct here at the Speedway. The crew doesn't have a scoring monitor. The scoring pylon shows a different car in second place, not Glenn Allen. Their driver thought he had a significant cushion over second. So suddenly he's realized he's really had to push the button on that 96 machine, guys.
Oh, that was Cozzolino, and he almost walled it. He floated up way high, did a great job to save it and prevent a caution. There goes Legacy by, but Wade Day, one thing he's got going in his favor right now is he is getting through traffic, and he's got margins.
Wade Day again did pick up the pace. He thought maybe Glenn Allen was just trying to get his lap back. We saw Peter Cozzolino getting just lap there. A great run again by that McDonald's team. And in the picture, Greg, is that blue, white, and yellow number 20 of Scott Legacy with 2 to go.
He's got to be running half a second a lap faster. The margin he has taken back is absolutely stunning. He is hooked up. Those tires are working to perfection. I mean, look at him close right now in Glenn Allen Jr. And we have seen Legacy pull some stuff in traffic that's been phenomenal. And with those tires working, look at that. He does it again. Swings out wide. Almost was able to use traffic. Day gets held up just a little bit behind Sontag. That's going to slow his pace. And Legacy's second. Legacy is second, and I believe we should be last lap. We're on the final lap. And Legacy, can he do it? Is there enough time? And is there traffic? There is traffic. Here we go. Into turn 3. Last lap. Legacy tucks in behind. Is he going high? Is he going to drop low? Wade Day hanging on. Legacy cuts down low. Coming through the trioval. Legacy drops low. Side by side. Legacy! By 2 feet, Scott Legacy pulls it off. Day goes by. I'm sure can't believe it. And Scott Legacy with a converted short track car. What a drive. Sontag drives by. Legacy's just slowing down. I wonder if Legacy knows what he's done, as Rob talked about. The scoring is just a little off on the pylons out there, and that's what some of the teams rely on. And I don't know that Legacy is all that sure about what's happened here. He's going to be informed. Here's the finish. It is less than half a car length for Scott Legacy. We'll be back to talk with him in just a minute. Speed Channel's live coverage of the ASA Racing Series BF Goodrich Tires 125 has been brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires, the official tire of ASA, and by SK Hand Tool, professional tools since 1921. Unbelievable developments here. You can see that's Wade Day sitting there who thought he won, and obviously it was so close. And here's the Legacy crew that have just suddenly started a major celebration because they just came to the realization that they pulled it off, and Jim Trado, it doesn't get closer than this.
And we've talked about Scott Legacy closing in, getting past Glenn Allen Jr., who thought he would have had any chance with the lap cars going into turn 3. This is a 1.5 mile track, half a mile from the finish. He pulls even and pulls ahead by that 2-foot margin to win his first ASA National Tour event.
Well, we had talked about he let it go so long, and then late in the race when he was running well, he had to stop and take on 4 tires and all the time that involved. But it gave him a set of tires to be able to pull off the miracle. Look at how
finish,
close.
here it is. Here's the margin. Legacy on the bottom. Wade Day thinking he's chasing Glenn Allen to the checkers, and that is the margin right there. A full front fender for the Florida driver, pulling it off over the Tennessee team of Wade Day.
And may I take this opportunity to once again say, somebody step it up, put a big sponsor logo on the side of that car, get this team funded. You won't believe what they're going to be able to do. Scott Legacy bringing that car in. What an incredible finish here at the first visit to Kentucky Speedway and the first visit to a 1.5 mile track in some 3 years. And man, was it a showcase. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and our winner has finally made it into winner's circle. There, you can hear him. He is yelling. He's excited, and Rob Albright, you're there.
Scotty Lagasse gets his first career ASA victory, the first time that BF Goodrich has come to a super speedway. What a show, Scott. I got to tell you, how? That's the only thing I can ask you, how?
BFGs, buddy. We put new ones on. We were forced to at the end, and yes! This is awesome. We've been waiting on this a long time, believe it or not. It's our rookie year, but we've been fast everywhere, just had dumb luck and almost did tonight. Great job in the pits, guys. We had a flat right rear, came in, and, you know, they were looking out for us today because we needed those tires, and it was good. There's nothing left of them now, though. I can promise you that.
Scott, I know you said coming in it was going to be a limited season. Now, how do you look at things any differently?
I don't know. I hope so. I can't wait. This series is just incredible. These speedways, loved it from day one. It's fun. Thank you.
Scotty Lagasse, the race winner tonight, now with a second-place finisher, Ken Stout.
Certainly the night of the rookies, and Wade Day, what a fabulous run, but you still think you won this race.
Yeah, we won the race, regardless of what everybody says. But, you know, first of all, I got to thank God for giving me the ability to do something that I love to do. And, you know, I thank Dennis and Georgia Noonkes for getting me started in go-karting, and Matt, Gloria, and Jim Wolf for putting me.
What makes you think you won this race?
Well, on the last restart, I started up front. I passed Reed, and I was the front car. How could the 20 car? He never passed me, so, you know.
A little controversy, guys. It's not settled just yet as far as Wade Day is concerned, but it was a great run. Guys?
Well, obviously, he's awfully emotional about this right now, but there's no question when you take a look at how it unfolded that Scott Lagasse, that gentleman right there, just an incredible drive up through the pack. And when he talked about having that flat right rear tire, I'm betting that may have been caused by a little bit of a kiss with Brian Reffner at that one run.
Really opportunity out of adversity. That flat tire changed their strategy into a winning strategy, getting tires very late in the event to propel them to the victory lane.
Boy, did it. Here is the unofficial results. Lagasse, Day, Glenn Allen, Reffner, Garvey, stumped Sauter, who we really hadn't talked about all night. Didn't look quick in qualifying, up into 7th. Reed Sorensen, really a very smart, savvy drive to 8th. And Butch Miller from dead last, just timing. The yellows never really helped him out, and Butch just soldiered on, as Butch will, and worked his way up into the top 10. So just an absolutely stellar run. And Jim, I think we have shown here, and I mean ASA, that they could put on a great show on these super speedways.
And the ASA National Tour is coming back here to Kentucky Speedway. It's the only super speedway they will revisit in the 16-race schedule. So I'm sure that man, Lagasse, is going to have a front row seat for maybe the first truck in line when they open up the garage area here when they come back.
And let's check in with Ken Stout with Reed Sorensen.
Boy, I'll tell you what, talk about pulling one through, man. After all the problems you had crashing the car, you really did a great job. Give me a quick synopsis, very quick, of this race.
Well, the car was awesome in the corners, just horrible down the straightaways. We're losing about 5 car lengths each straightaway, but the Target Haviland Dodge was running great tonight, and we got the best we could.
Definitely a night of the rookies there, guys. Of course, in our Rookie of the Year, finishing in 3rd place. Back up to you.
Yeah, he put together an absolutely great run, no question about that. And let's remind everybody, we'll also be going to Lowe's. And we'll be going to Atlanta at the end of the year. So there's 3 more Speedway visits that we're going to be doing, and I think they're going to be absolutely great shows. But let's not forget, we're going back to some short track racing coming up here, and that is still really the heart and soul of ASA in many ways, and it's going to be phenomenal. There it is, Lake Erie Speedway, Erie, Pennsylvania, coming up Saturday, May 29th, and that one will be live as well. Thanks so much for joining us here. Remember to check out speedtv.com. For Jim Trado, for Ken Stout and Rob Albright, I'm Greg Kramer. Thanks so much for joining us, and please join us again from Erie. Take care, everybody.